Hi everyone, I wanted to do my practice for my John Maxwell, and I'm reading Make Today Count, and the chapter we had was on family. So I found this, my grandma gave this to me. It was from a chain that she gave me and earrings for my 21st. Unfortunately, the chain broke, the petal broke on it, and I have one earring left. So I decided I'm going to take that earring and use it as a pendant on a necklace so that I can remember my grandma. And this is her writing. She didn't have too much education, but she was a seamstress. She made wedding dresses, she crocheted, she knitted, and she ran her own business. She ran her own business together with my grandfather. So no degrees, no big education, but she put her mind to what she wanted and she accomplished it. And she believed in me. She wanted me to study, to play the piano, and to get an education. And she wrote on this, "Dearest Belinda, Lord bless you and keep you happy always. I miss you. Love, Granny and Auntie Teresa." And that was for my 21st. Unfortunately, she didn't come home. She couldn't come home for my 21st. And when she left Zimbabwe, she felt very much that the decisions were made for her and that she didn't have a choice and she had to leave and she had to go. I guess that's what happens to some people. That's what happened to me. Other people made decisions for me when I was sent to live in Bulawayo, when I was forced to do the psychiatric assessment. Other people decided and told me, this is what you are going to do because your family want it that way. And I think that's not a good way to live. I certainly don't impose my decisions. I don't make decisions for other people. They make their own decisions about their own lives. And I think one of the good things about Canada and about North America is that people look after their own nuclear family. I come from Africa and we have this concept of Ubuntu. We are people through other people, and it's about the community. But sometimes that goes too far because the community gets put first and the nuclear family suffers. So I don't think that's a good idea. I know when we were growing up, sometimes I would walk to school or I would walk home, get a lift with our neighbors. They were kind enough to take me. But then when they were going back, they would tell me you have to walk back because we're picking up so-and-so on the way. And I walked. I didn't have a choice. And my mother used to sit in the shop and she used to tell me you have to go home and you have to check on the house because there's nobody else. And I used to say to her, well, you've got the car. Why don't you go home and you check on the house and I'll sit in the shop because I'm a child and you can go, you're the adult. And she used to say, no, I'm not going. And I used to say to her, what about my brother? And she'd say, he's not going, he's coming here to the shop. You go and you check on it. So I used to go all by myself. There was bush around the house. Nobody lived for miles around us. I used to go and check on the house and come back. And we used to give our neighbors lifts sometimes. Sometimes we didn't have food at home. And there was food in the shop. I used to tell my mother, there's food in the shop. Why don't you bring the food home? And there's tins of bully beef and tuna, and she'd say, that's for selling. And she'd say, so it's our shop. Why can't you bring the food home and cook it? We've got no food, but I know it's for selling, but we haven't got anything to eat. And she used to say, no. So then I used to go and tell my neighbors, and then my Mrs. Harry used to say, don't worry, I'm going to make something and bring it. You don't worry about anything, go home. So sometimes that's what happens when you're thinking about priorities and what's happening. That's what happens. My grandmother used to cry because she used to feel that she set up that business, and when she wanted to take money and buy something, she couldn't do it. And my mother and her used to have big fights, and I used to get caught in the middle. And my grandma used to say to me, I feel very lonely because when none of you talk to me and I'm sitting by myself, and I used to say to her, Granny, when I talk to you, then they get upset and they don't talk to me and they isolate me. They leave me out. They go to parties. They enjoy themselves and I'm always left out. And she used to say to me, I feel very bad because we should be together. We should be a family. I need all of you now because Papa's gone and I'm by myself and I don't want to go to America. And slowly, my sister persuaded her and said, you know what, go to America. It will be good for you. You'll spend time with your other grandchildren and, we'll be here. We'll be fine. So my sister persuaded her to go. She didn't want to go. And then she told me, if there's any problems you have or anything comes up, she said, I'm leaving you. I know I'm going to leave you by yourself. They're not going to look after you. And she said, it breaks my heart to leave you, but I can't stay here anymore because they took away the business from me. They took away everything from me, and I can't take it anymore. She said, if you're not here, I have to walk by myself from the graveyard and come to the shop. And she said, I get very frightened now, so I'm going to go. And she said, I wish I could take you with me. And then she told me, if anything comes up or you have any problems, you talk to Auntie Elsa and Uncle Felix, the De Silvas. And then they took me to Bulawayo and they left me there. And then my sister used to phone me and say, hey, how's it going? Are you enjoying it there? And I used to beg my mother to come home, and she used to say, stay there, and she used to bang the phone down on me. Then I brought her to Canada. The same thing happened. They left me out of everything. They organized their own plans, did their own things. Without me, my mother would not be in Canada. But I never got a thank you, except for my brother. I never got included in anything. I got left out. So I decided, well, you know what? I used to fight. I used to say, I also want you to come, Mom. I want you to stay with me. I want you to spend time with me. Relationships are about commitment. They're not about how you feel. That, if you feel good, then, everything's fine. And if you feel bad, then you just walk away from the relationship. That's not a relationship. That's not the kind of relationships that my dad and my grandma and my grandpa taught me to have. If it's all about the feeling, then there's no relationship. It's just feelings. And feelings come and feelings go. Even if you're doing spiritual direction or discernment, feelings come and feelings go. Why get married? Why do anything? Those feelings will go. Why stay in a job? Why stay in a country? Why do anything? Those feelings come and those feelings go. So it's not about feelings. If people don't make you a priority, they don't want to spend time with you, and people show you what's important to them. The same thing with me. I did that psychiatric assessment because the police told me it's your family. So I said, okay, let me go and do it. I don't want to be arrested. After that, I tried to phone my sister. I tried to connect with her. Nothing. Then she told my brother she was worried about me. So I said to her, worried about me for what? She doesn't even talk to me. She doesn't message me. She doesn't call me. When they organize their family trips, they don't think about me. I'm left out completely. There's no thinking, okay, maybe this year we can spend it with Belinda. Next year we can spend it at someone's house. Oh, my sister, what's the point of that? There's nothing like that. Nothing. There were times, once in South Africa, I nearly got killed twice. The first time I got mugged at the university. The second time I got knocked down by a car. I had to go to work because I was on a temporary work, and I didn't have anybody that I could stay with, that I could call and say, you know what, I got knocked down by a car and I'm in pain. I had to go to work. I used to put frankincense, incense, essential oil in my bath, and I used to soak in that, and I used to get up and go to work because I had nobody to fall back on. And then I thought, oh, it will be different when my mother comes. My mother will be there. She'll help me. She'll support me. But she had her own problems, mentally, physically. She had her own problems. And she couldn't be there for me. So I was very fortunate that the Silvers treated me like family. And I ate with them. I went out with them. We did everything together. And one day I told my sister, why are you calling me? I said, don't even call me anymore. Why are you calling me? I'm living here now. I have my life with the De Silvas. So don't call me anymore, because when I was there, you people didn't want me. You used to sit in the room and talk together and leave me out. And it used to kill my grandma. I said, it kills her. Even when I phone, she cries on the phone and says, I want to come home. I didn't want to come here. I don't like America. But there's nothing you can do. I sponsored my mother, and they still did the same thing. So I stay away as much as possible. I interact with them. I keep in touch once in a while. If I need help, I ask my mom. If she can help me, she helps me. If she can't, she can't. I don't expect anything of anyone anymore, because I learned it started in childhood and it never stopped. And if they have to choose between me and my sister, they'll always choose my sister. So I've accepted it now, and I enjoy my Christmas on my own. I like it. It's nice. It's quiet. I can go to church. I can come home. I don't have to go to other people's houses and hear things. I don't have to stand on ceremony. I can just relax and be myself and enjoy what I have and thank God for it. And thank God, God has pulled me through. I've come through a lot, and I'm looking better, I'm feeling better. But not all family stories are good, and not all family stories are bad. We were very fortunate. We grew up with good homes, good grandparents. They could have left us. They could have said, yeah, go back to India. It doesn't matter if you're poor and you have no internal plumbing and you'll have no opportunity for education. Go. Just take them and go. We don't want you here. Go. That's what they could have done, but they didn't do it. So we were lucky to have them and to have people in our lives who encouraged us to study, who encouraged us to be committed and to help each other. And I was always the one. I never did anything wrong, but I got into trouble. My sister was dating somebody and they found the pictures. I got into trouble. Oh, why didn't you tell us? So it worked out to their benefit for my grandmother to go. They didn't want her there. I was the one that wanted her there. I wanted her with me. And I used to phone her. My uncles were very nice in that way, because she used to tell me, if you want to talk to me, call collect. And the operator used to put the call through, and I used to speak to her from university. And then before she was dying, she told me, I'm not keeping well anymore. You should come. And I said to her, I don't have money to come and see you, Granny. I wish I could have come, but I couldn't go. But I've had a lot of good friends, people who have taken me into their homes in South Africa as well as in other places, England. I've had people that I could go to and spend time with and be with them. And I keep in touch with them. So things change. Family is not everything. especially when you've come through what I've come through. I'm grateful. When I came, I stayed with my sister. I lived in her place. And when she told me to move out, I moved out. But I helped them a lot. I paid my rent. When they needed money, I gave it to them. When there was no food in the house, I bought food for all of us. Even if they left me and they went on their holidays and they ate all the food, I still bought food. I was a very good sister to them. So now I'm 50. I just feel like I have more things to do, more places to go, and I'm working on my health. I want to get well and to get better. And I'm glad that I have the support I need at work, because they know I suffer from anxiety. And it's not just going to go away, because they frighten me. Everywhere I went, she's here, she's here. And they didn't tell me what they were doing. So I had no idea. And when you get frightened over and over and over, obviously it affects your health, it affects your immune system. And when you ask people and they say, I don't know anything, I don't know anything. And then you find out from the police, this is what is happening, it's your family. Then what are you going to do? So I'm just going to stay away as much as I can, because I don't want people to do to me what they did to my grandmother and ship me off to America to go and live with people, or ship me off to go and be put in a psychiatric unit or in a safe house. I don't need it. I do just fine on my own. I live in a beautiful building. I live in a safe community. I've got good neighbors that I spend time with. And I don't need to be put into a safe house or to be put into somewhere like that. I don't. I've educated myself. I've worked hard. I've taken out loans. And I've done it on my own. Nobody's told me to go and study. And they've told me the opposite. You can't study. Why do you want to study? You can't hold management jobs. Why do you want to go and study? Go and take anything and settle for it. That's the messages I was sent from the time I was a child. But my grandmother said, you must study. She used to wake me up at 4 a.m. She used to wake me up and say, you must study. And if the electricity was gone, she used to light a candle and say, you must study at least 2 hours before you go to school. I used to wake up early in the morning. I used to study. Extra lessons, I used to fight with my mom and say, I want extra lessons. I need the extra lessons. I need the help. And she used to tell me, you're a pain, you give me too much headaches. And even when she came here, she told me I'm a pain and I caused too many problems for her. I said, I don't want to cause any more problems for you. Please live your life and be happy. And when I was a child, it was different. I needed that extra help and that support. But when I came to Canada, I did it on my own. I studied. I went to my professors if I needed extra help. I asked them. I take direction at work. If they tell me you did this wrong, try to do it this way next time. I try and I change. I've sat on management boards. I've done things that my family never thought I could do. I've played at concerts, I've played the organ at church, I've helped with volunteering with the children at church. I've done a lot. I've run my own business. And my mother always told me, you can't run your own business. You think you have big dreams. You think you can do everything, but you can't. But I did do it. I did do it, and I'm proud of what I've done and what I've accomplished. I have done it. So I don't know what's in store. I don't know what's next. But I wish them the best. I'm glad they've accomplished what they've wanted in their lives. I'm glad my mother's found somebody and she's married, and he's a nice man. He's good to her. I'm glad my sister is happy. She's got a nice family. So good luck to them. I'm happy things have worked out for them. I keep in touch from time to time. If I call at Christmas and they don't pick up, I wait. When they're ready, then I call them. If they don't want to talk to me, that's also fine by me. Because I've got people in my life who value me, who cherish me, who, if I call them on Christmas or Easter or wherever, they pick up the phone and they say, "Hey, Belinda, it's so nice to hear from you. Thank you for calling." Or if they're having dinner or lunch, they say, "We're busy right now, but we'll call you right back." So God has blessed me with a lot of nice cousins, a lot of good friends. I'm very lucky. And that's the blessing of community. But there's also a downside to community where you can help people, you can do a lot for people, and they can turn around and just pretend like, oh, they didn't know you. It's happened to me. I've helped a lot of people who have come to Canada. They've got their jobs, they've gotten references from me, they've gotten help through the church. And when I look for them, they know where to be found. So it happens, that's life. But you have to put your faith in God and your trust in God, because not everything in this world can be controlled by us. And the values that we have, those are our values. And we have to keep those values or choose to change. It's up to us to decide and to discern. Not all things, all feelings of anger are bad. So, for example, when Jesus cleared out the temple, you can say, oh, he was so angry, look what he did. Those people were trying to make a living, but they were not bringing people closer to God. They were putting heavy burdens on them. That's why Jesus got angry. So when you're discerning, you have to discern what is good anger, what is bad anger. If people are abusing you, shouting at you, swearing at you, that's not really a good thing, especially if you haven't done anything to justify their anger. If you're always giving and nobody's giving to you, that's also not a good thing. But when we give, also sometimes we have to remember that God will reward us. We give to others and God will also reward us and see what we do. But in this life, in a secular age, I've learned you can't just give and give and give. People will keep taking and taking and taking, and they won't give you anything back. So you also have to know who you're giving to and what you're giving. And go from there. So yes, things start in the family, but we also can choose for ourselves what we want to do, who we want to be, what values we want to keep, what commitments we want to have. My mom did a lot for me when I was young. She used to give us nice birthday parties. She used to take us to the drive-in. We used to go on picnics. We used to do a lot. She did a lot for us when we were growing up. She made a lot of sacrifices. And she had her own challenges. Things were not easy for her. So I'm happy that she's in a good space, that she's in Canada. She's not in Zimbabwe. But it wasn't easy for her to leave and to come here. She didn't want to leave. For many years, I used to say to her, why don't you come? I'll put your papers for you. And she said, no, I don't want to come. I used to tell her, hey, why don't you go to Anita and Stuart? And she said, I don't want to go. I'm happy here. I used to say to her, yeah, but you're always crying for her. I'm missing Anita, I'm missing Anita. I said, why don't you go? Savio and I are big, we can look after ourselves. She didn't want to go. Then I got the blame for that also. So I gave up. It used to hurt me. My sister used to blame me. You were the one that told her not to come. I said to her, you can't keep blaming me. So everything was my fault. They used to take everything out on me. But that was the final straw when she blamed me for my mother's not coming to her. I said to her, no. She made her own decision. Please stop blaming me. And it hurt me. So you have to also live your life. People can't blame you forever for what other people decide to do. But I'm very blessed. God has been good to me. I have everything you can possibly imagine. I always say Elvis is my guardian angel, because that music just kept changing. No matter what I put on, it would change to Elvis gospel music when I put the YouTube on. And even today, sometimes I'm down, I feel depressed, I feel tired. And I'm like, I've had such a rough day. I just give up now. And then all of a sudden the music will change and a message will come from Elvis saying, Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. So Elvis is my guardian angel. And the saints, I believe in the saints. Saint Teresa of Avila, I prayed before I got this job at Teleperformance. I was going to all the job fairs. You're like a cattle, it's like a cattle ranch. You're waiting in lines for hours and hours. I used to go and stand in the Air Canada Center. I used to go from one place to the other, handing out resumes. And I prayed to Saint Teresa of Avila, please help me. And Teresa of Lisieux. And when I went to the Roy Thompson Hall, there was a bunch of roses lying outside the door. And I went in and they offered me the job on the spot. They said, if you want to work, come tomorrow. And I got my job and I gave thanks to Saint Teresa of Lisieux. So I do believe in the saints, and I believe our loved ones watch over us and they guide us and they protect us. Because I could have been in a psychiatric unit today, and I don't know what they could have done to me. Because they start off with pills, but then from there they want to do electric shock treatment and all that. I've heard from people that I know what they do. They start with the pills, then they want to go to electric shock treatments and all kinds of things. So I'm grateful that I had a good doctor that stopped it, and I'm grateful that he worked with a psychiatrist, and the psychiatrist said it's okay, it's her choice. She doesn't want it, she doesn't want it. So I use my essential oils, and I use meditation and other techniques, and I'm fine. I've done very, very well in my job. But if you look at my face doesn't look the same compared to before all this happened. I had a beautiful face and I didn't have all these bags under my eyes and all that. But it took a toll on me because nobody was there for me. I handled it on my own. And I got through everything on my own. After everything was over, then they allowed my mother to call me and speak to me and all that. And I could hear them on the phone. People were telling me that's her sister crying on the phone. So I don't know what arrangements they went. They went through the police and somehow they got the opportunity to listen to how I talk to people on the phones. But whatever is going on, I wish them the best because I've done okay. And I hope to keep coming up. And the police never said anything to me. They didn't tell me that they were going to help them to listen to the calls or whatever. But I just hope that they leave me alone because I've done nothing to them. And I'm getting along with my life. I'm getting on with my life. I used to contact places to say, oh, do you need a pianist? I can come and play in the restaurant and all that, but then COVID hit, so I don't do any of that anymore. I like singing. We used to go and sing for the priests, the retired priests. So I do a lot in the community. Not only does it keep me mentally sound and healthy, but it also helps the community as well. So yeah, I've learned now to just take each day as it comes and be grateful for it. I have teas that help me, like the cinnamon tea and the dandelion tea, also the passion fruit. I have a lot of different teas, and the lavender oil helps me. So I've used my education, whatever I've done, to help myself as well as to help others. And at the end of the day, God sees the heart, and God sees into our hearts and into our hurts. And some of these things only God can heal. I am very tired. I don't pretend not to be. But I make it through each day, and when the day is done, I say, thank you, God, I made it through the day. And that's how I do it. So make each day count, enjoy the good times with family when it's there, and also do things that are good for you. protect yourself a little bit if you have to. I used to miss my grandma. I used to miss her a lot. And she used to always tell me, I want to come home. I wish I could come home to Zimbabwe. But that's life. Other people made the decisions for her, just like other people made the decisions for me. And some of it is financial too. So I hope and pray that things will change for me and that I will get financially stronger. I use my crystals, I use my precious metals. I bought all the jewelry that I got, all the music that I've got. It's all helped me. And this year I bought myself my Elvis gifts. I bought a little teddy bear. I bought some Elvis ornaments. And I bought the record from the movie that came out and the Elvis movie DVD. Those are all special things. And I love keeping in touch with my nieces. I like talking to them. So there's give and take in relationships. It's not all about giving and it's not all about taking. When I wanted to have a big party for my mother for one of her big birthdays, she told me she didn't want it. So I was like, okay, fine. If you don't want it, you don't want it. I don't impose what I want onto her. If she doesn't want it, she doesn't want it. I'll do it for somebody else who will like it and who will enjoy it. So yeah, things start in the family and then they go out into the community. If you don't get that validation and if you don't get that support and appreciation in your family when you're young, as you get older, it gets harder. So at least now when they give me feedback, I don't start crying. When I first started at Teleperformance, I used to just cry because I was so frightened that I would lose my job because I was let go so many times. And even having a place to stay, I was so frightened because my home wasn't selling when I sold my place. And I just didn't know what to do because the family made it very clear I could not stay with them and they were not going to help me. So I was very frightened. But thank God I've got a beautiful home and I've got a job and I'm coming up. So hopefully things will continue to get better and hopefully I'll continue to get stronger. I wanted to go to England because I know there are very, very good executive assistant jobs there. They have PA jobs that pay very, very well. But it didn't work out. So I take it as it comes. And I value the skills that I'm learning. And I continue to invest in myself. I sign up for HRPA events. I sign up for online learning because you have to keep bettering your skills. If you don't better your skills and if you don't invest in your education, nobody's going to bother to hire you. They'll say, oh, you got your high school. There's so many more new things coming up and new things developing. And what have you done to better yourself? Nothing. So why would they hire you? Because you don't care about your education. You don't care about investing in yourself. And that will impact your family and what you can earn down the line. So don't listen to people who tell you don't get an education, don't go to school, don't bother. Because you have to. In this day and age, you have to care about your own well-being and your own education. And you have to care about the future because nobody's going to do it for you. The companies don't care. If they invest in you, they invest in you because they need you for that specific time. Once that time is up, and if you don't have a sponsor or you don't have somebody there supporting you, they'll just let you go. They won't invest in you, especially in North America or any country for that matter. Things are getting harder and harder, so we have to invest in ourselves and we have to keep investing and keep trying to come up and not let people frighten us. Because I used to get very frightened when my mother used to say, you can't do anything, you can't hold those jobs, you can't come up. I used to get very frightened because I used to internalize it. And I used to just tell myself, you know what, if you couldn't do it, you wouldn't have graduated, you wouldn't have come to where you are, you wouldn't have come this far. And the counseling helped me that I got through the church. It helped me a lot to go for spiritual direction and to help me to make my own decisions, to take back control of my life.